Hello, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to take a look at Transformers issue 18. It came out yesterday. This is the end of Arc 3. It's still written by Daniel Warren Johnson, art by Jorge Corona, colors by Mike Spicer, and letters by Russ Wooten. And yeah, this issue moves. This issue is a very quick read because there's in a comic that doesn't utilize double page splashes often. There are two in this issue, and that's kind of it speaks to the big moments that are happening because when they do use the double page spreads, they save it for those moments, and there are some big moments in this issue. So we'll start off. A warning: I am going to talk about the full issue, spoilers, all of that. So if you haven't read it yet, don't watch this video, or if you just don't care, just be forewarned that I am going to talk about all of the events that happened in this issue. It starts off back on Cybertron. We pick up the story of Blue Streak and Blur and Warpath are kind of pinned down. They're being attacked by some Decepticons regarding the Well of Sparks, and these are characters. I always get the different Seekers confused. So actually, there's what is it? I wrote it down. So it's Hotlink and Bitstream along with Carnivac, and Carnivac is not these are not characters that I am super familiar with. A lot of the Seekers kind of, I don't know. I get confused. I'll just say it. I'll leave it at that. And I'm not like the Transformers encyclopedia, so which we have online, which is great. Anyway, so they're coming after Blue Streak and the crew, and they're pinned down. And Carnivac seems like a cool character because he transforms into a wolf, which is fun. They're gonna go after Blue Streak, and Carnivac kind of says, I want to eat this one. So he transforms into a wolf, and then we get to see our new character, Shredhead, in action, and he comes in and takes out Carnivac. Hits him with the van. So I love the introduction of this page because it starts off. You see Carly's van come in there, which is now, I guess, Carly's van has a new name. It's Shredhead, but I still see it as Carly's van. Anyway, so Shredhead transforms and just kind of comes on the scene and says, "You guys ready to shred?" And goes to town on these guys. Like, he takes out Carnivac and then slices off I guess that's Bitstream. The blue one is Bitstream and the purple one is Hotlink. So slices off Bitstream's hands and then turns his attention to Hotlink and then just slices the dude. This is a very overpowered new Autobot character, which is great to see. And this page, I like to see because so far in this story, Alita 1 has had a lot of anger, a lot of animosity, and a lot of despair. She's lost all hope. She had her conflicts with Optimus Prime towards the end of the second arc, and this whole arc she's just been kind of like, whatever, all I want to do is try to get another ally. And so she was helping Cliffjumper on his mission, and this ally that she helped bring to life is a very good ally. So it's great to see this panel of happy Alita 1, because we have not really seen that much in the series. So after that, they Alita 1 is kind of saying, like, look, I think we've turned the tide of the war here on Cybertron. Now we have this new ally, so looking forward to more Shredhead, doing his thing. So that's really all of the Cybertron pages that we get this issue. And then it transitions to the events back on Earth, and then we get a scene with at Ultra Magnus's fort. And this is a scene that kind of does a lot of heavy lifting as far as emotional, commentary in the issue. A lot of it is, the rest of the issue is a lot of action. This is, it's them finally being able to talk to Ultra Magnus. RC is trying to get her point across of, look, you need to kind of get back into the fight. And Ultra Magnus is basically saying, like, look, I've seen what one Cybertronian can do to another, and the depths they can go, and in Shockwave, and how Shockwave just was terrible and tortured Ultra Magnus. So he's basically like, I've lost all hope. I feel like, what's the point? Doesn't want to re-engage. And I love this scene because again, it's Carly. You get Carly kind of coming in there and saying, like, look, you've experienced loss and trauma, and so have we. We are not the same. We are very different. What she says? She says, "You're a huge metal man with huge metal guns, and I'm a small, squishy wannabe artist. Who could come up with two beings more different?" And her point is like, look, like, yes, we are very different, but the trauma that we've experienced kind of binds us together. So we're here kind of helping each other out. This crew has experienced loss. You've got Spike there. They lost their dads, their home, and like everything that they know. Like their world is completely changed, and so they're dealing with trauma as well. And they're essentially saying like, look, you're not alone. Like we understand, even if we don't fully understand, we do understand what you're going through because we've all experienced loss, and there is power in us coming together to deal with that loss together and not alone. And that's. I love that when you get that the humans kind of teaching the Transformer characters stuff, and it's just a great interaction, and it's why this made this crew, this Ultra Magnus, RC, Beachcomber, Spike, Carly. It makes all of this pairing very, very, very interesting, and I love kind of see that the emotional payoff of Carly kind of stepping up and saying, look, talking about loss, and which is what this comic has been about. It's about a war, loss, and the lasting impacts of war, and all of these different characters. So to see it addressed here, we start to see that the process of Ultra Magnus, kind of coming to terms and healing, but before he can fully heal and re-engage in the fight comes to him. So he they're right after Carly mentions her kind of talking about loss, Ultra Magnus gets distracted and then whips out this giant gun. I love this panel with like the gun, really right there in the foreground. You see these soldiers that are coming up on Ultra Magnus's fortress, and it's like the G.I. Joe team, and we don't really know specifically which characters, but it's the military. They have the patch of the G.I. Joe, like the star and the stripes. So I feel like but there are no named characters here, so we'll see later on, maybe on the G.I. Joe side of things, if there are any named G.I. Joe characters here. So anyway, but yeah, Ultra Magnus jumps into reactionary mode. He tries to defend himself, much like he did when RC and Beachcomber, Spike and Carly were approaching the fortress. RC tries to stop him, says, look, it's just humans, like they don't know what they're getting into, like we need to be careful about this. And Carly there's like a tranquilizer dart that kind of hits her neck, so she kind of passes out. So RC has to turn her attention from Ultra Magnus to Carly and to try to save her. And the helicopter starts flashing the bright light. The panel kind of converts to show what Ultra Magnus is seeing, and he's seeing Shockwave. He's having flashbacks of Shockwave's torture of him. So he reacts to, he's like, they're attacking us, they want to enslave us, and then he says, he wants to enslave me, and it's that he's clearly having those flashbacks, and then he just punches the helicopter out of the sky, and it's this really awesome panel of him, reacting and punching the helicopter, having that kind of explode apart. And what I find interesting about this is that this is, even though he's reacting in this way, it's actually a good thing. Yes, he's probably murdering humans, but it's a good thing for his journey, because he's actually fighting back. And even though he sees Shockwave, he's fighting back against Shockwave. So we are seeing him in the process of healing somewhat, even though maybe not the most healthy way or safe way for the humans. But before, we saw him confronted with Shockwave and he just dropped his gun and left. So we are seeing, even though he's kind of losing his cool here, the bigger picture is that Ultra Magnus is starting to heal. So he's getting there. RC is trying to stop him. She's like, Magnus, no, like you can't you can't do this. This is not the way. And then the other helicopters react, and they just fire a whole bunch of rockets and missiles at the fortress. Beachcomber is basically saying like, all right, let's get out of here. There's the fighting happening. Let's hightail it out of here. Spike gets picked up by Beachcomber, and RC has Carly. She is holding Carly, but then the explosions happen, and she unfortunately loses Carly, drops her, and yeah, the military kind of comes in after all the kind of the dust settles. They pick up Carly and take her out of there. She's knocked out, and so now G.I. Joe, or the military, G.I. Joe, whoever, they now have Carly, and there's a panel where you see them lifting up Ultra Magnus and taking him off. So now that part of the crew is gone. I've seen a lot of the feedback of what's GI Joe, where's the military, what are they doing in all of this, and it's nice to see that addressed here. Finally, like there is a response. They're not really going after the most dangerous of the Transformers, but I think this is going to set the stage for GI Joe and Autobots to kind of come together. They're laying the groundworks of that alliance eventually happening. We cut to Seattle, and the rest of the issue just moves because this is you get the resolution of the combiner fight, because they're just Devastator and Bruticus are just knocking each other into buildings, knocking buildings over. The Autobots are still there trying to rescue as many humans as they can. You get a moment of Optimus Prime trying to hold up a building while Trailbreaker has a force field to protect these humans, and Jazz and Wheeljack are getting them out of there. So you see the Autobots working together with a singular focus on just tending to the humans that are there, while the Decepticon civil war rages on, and they're just damage with no regard for human life at all. You get this great page of Soundwave popping Rumble out of his chest. And, you think of Soundwave, you think of his cassettes, and you think of them popping out of there, like the old toy feature. The chest opens up, take the cassette out, and we haven't seen that a lot in the series, but it's nice to see this here. Soundwave tosses Rumble towards Astrotrain and rips to shred his Astrotrain's wing. Astrotrain crashes into a building, and so Starscream, the big weenie that he is just basically calling to Bruticus, help me. Then you get the setup for this amazing scene, because you get Bruticus and Devastator climbing a building to kind of get to the top, because Bruticus is trying to get to Starscream, and Devastator is just trying to get to Bruticus. And once Bruticus gets to the top of the building, they are playing with scale a little bit here, because Bruticus is so gigantic at this point. As he's drawn in the page, you see this compared to Starscream, who's kind of in the foreground of this panel. But I just love, it's okay in my mind if you play with scale, if you get really amazing images like this, because if you think about it, the combiners in individual form as we've seen them, combine them together, and they're not that, they shouldn't be that big. But I imagine they're could be. They've talked about the mass transference, where Shockwave would kind of shrink down to size in his gun mode. So maybe the combiners have that ability as well. So when they combine, then they're kind of the combined energy of all of them makes them bigger. Who knows? But I don't care. The point is, I'm fine playing with scale, so you can see these gigantic robots. So yeah, so you get this panel of Bruticus at the top, trying to save Starscream, and then you get the setup of this. It's RKO out of nowhere. I love seeing the wrestling kind of come back into it. So Devastator just grabs Bruticus's head. You get this amazing double page spread of the RKO. Devastator and Bruticus falling down to the ground below, and this is just sweet. And then you turn the page, and you see Optimus Prime reacting to what is happening, and this top panel is so darn cool, because you see Optimus Prime reacting to what's going on, but you see the reflection of Devastator and Bruticus from the building behind him. So you see them kind of falling. And it's just it's just wonderful visual storytelling, and that's kudos to Jorge Corona on that one for sure. But yeah, then you get this amazing impact of them falling, and I don't know what the death toll in Seattle is, but it's gonna be high, because this is Autobots can only do so much to save the city. But so there's this gigantic explosion, earthquake. I'm sure other buildings fell. So Seattle is basically leveled, it seems. And then we get the rematch, the more of the Starscream and Soundwave fight. This has kind of all been leading to the two of them kind of coming to blows again. And Soundwave, has the upper hand. He's calling Starscream pathetic, and Starscream seems defeated. He seems like he's gotten his ass kicked most of this issue, and then Starscream finally kind of fights back, and he reacts negatively to Soundwave calling him pathetic. knocks the gun on a Soundwave's hand, gives him a headbutt, which is a kind of a callback to earlier, and I guess it was issue 7 in their fight where Soundwave headbutted Starscream, so you get a little payback there. Then we see Starscream rip off the front part of Soundwave, his chest where the cassettes are. There's a great line about, Starscream's like, you call me pathetic? Well, what about you? You're obsessed with your tape collection. That's pathetic. So, that's fun to see. And then this is the moment we've all kind of expected, been waiting for. You see, they're about to, Starscream rips Ravage out of Soundwave's chest. And then you hear this word balloon comes in and says Starscream, Soundwave. And then you turn your page, and it's a double page spread. And there's Megatron standing there with, Laserbeak on his shoulder. And he just says, enough. You think about the moment of how it's going to be. And you knew that Megatron was going to come into play somewhere, most likely at the end of this arc, which naturally we do see that that's the case. And what is very interesting is that it's his presence alone that it is his presence that has been kind of overshadowing the events of this arc so far, because you knew that he was coming, and in the dialogue, it's like his dialogue is very minimal from here until the rest of the issue. It's he doesn't have to say a lot. It's just his physical presence says enough. Amazing double page spread. He's there. He puts an end to the Starscream and Soundwave fight. Megatron sees Ravage laying there, and he finally rewards Soundwave for his loyalty. He picks up Ravage, and I guess he uses some of his spark. It's almost like his chest opens up, and it's like he has a matrix of his own. Which forgive me, I don't know if that's been done before, or I have no idea, but I always just knew the Matrix to be in Optimus Prime. I didn't know Megatron had that kind of ability or spark or whatever. I don't know, whatever. Point being, Megatron is able to use some of his spark and reanimate Ravage. And he says, what a good soldier you are, what a good soldier you are, small thing, and what a faithful servant your father is. And then you see Soundwave kind of kneeling in front of Megatron. So Megatron doesn't say a whole lot, but doesn't need to. And Starscream, the big weenie, is also like, all right, Astrotrain, we got to go, get me out of here. And this sets up, Astrotrain refuses. He's like, no, because they set up in the past issues where Astrotrain was imprisoned by Megatron. He clearly has an axe to grind with him, and wants to go after him. So this civil war for the Decepticons is done for now, but it's not over. More of that is definitely coming. Optimus Prime, his reaction to this is it just says, Autobots, retreat. Like, he's like, we're not ready to take on Megatron. So again, it's so much is being said about who Megatron is, and the presence he has, the respect that he has, and the fear that the fear that others have about him. Like, it's just him being there, and it stops the Soundwave Starscream fight. And then with Optimus Prime, he's like, we got to get out of here. Like, we're not equipped to handle Megatron right now. So that's great, and it ends on this. I love the way that this last page is laid out, because it's Megatron and Soundwave on top of the building, and they're kind of looking down at Optimus Prime. Optimus Prime is looking up at the building. He sees him up there, and this last panel is you get the Autobots there, and you get the shadow of Megatron, and with Laserbeak on his shoulder, and I love that. I love that represents. So this whole time, it's been the looming shadow of Megatron over this whole arc, like I mentioned before. So then to see that again, it's just it's like the shadow of Megatron. The conflict between the resolution of Megatron dealing with his own soldiers, that was dealt with. Still, there's more there for sure, but that was addressed. And then it's still here, the looming. We know that there's going to be a Megatron Optimus fight or encounter or whatever it is, and we know that's still coming. So that's still kind of looming over the events of this series, and that's how this page ends, is with the shadow of Megatron still being cast over Optimus Prime and the Autobots. So what a great issue. Like, I say that every time I read one of these Transformers issues, but it just continues to deliver. And the thing is, this is not what I was expecting. I was expecting, uh, more of Optimus Prime in this issue. Like, really, Optimus Prime is only on a couple pages, and he's not really driving any of the story. He's just reacting to things. He's trying to save humans. He doesn't have a lot of a dialogue in this issue. He doesn't, so it's not really about Optimus Prime. It's about the Decepticons fighting, about the combiner fight ending, and the scene with Ultra Magnus, like those are things that are kind of driving the story forward. And but yeah, and who would have expected that? I certainly did not. And I love that it continues to kind of play with expectations and addresses certain storylines when we're expecting others to be addressed, while also still moving everything forward. So masterclass stuff that they're doing here with Transformers, and yeah, I'm loving it all. So next issue is issue 19, and there's going to be at least one issue, could be two, I'm not sure. I think it's just one, of like a flashback of Megatron. So we're going to kind of see where I guess Megatron was, and maybe how he led up to being imprisoned by Cobra Commander. That's where we first saw him in the Energon universe. So I don't know. We'll see what that issue is, and then we'll pick it up from there to see Jorge Corona back on the series. So yeah, man. Awesome stuff. So thank you very much for watching this one, and I will see you soon.